Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Everything looks in order. I hope I'm in order. Name's Beattie, International Director of the British People's League, bringing you the Dinosaur News, celebrating Queen Victoria Day, Empire Day, actually by days. Of course, we all know May 24th is the real birthday of Queen Victoria, but it's celebrated in Canada the first Monday before the 24th of May. So wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying Queen Victoria Day and Empire Day, which we discussed on the last video last week. Throat's all choked up. This bloody gray hair stuff is a pain. Okay, got a lot to squeeze in today. Some days don't have much and other days the works. Now, first off, we're greeting Prince Charles to Canada's soil, to the Dominion of Canada's soil, as heir to the throne, representing Her Majesty, our Queen as well. He arrived yesterday. Today, after a brief stop in Nova Scotia's Pictou County, Charles and Camilla will set off for Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, to take part in Victoria Day festivities and mark the 150th anniversary of the 1864 conference that opened the door to Canadian Confederation. Yeah, opened the door, right, with the help of loyal Sir John Alexander Macdonald, statue back there with just under Queen Victoria. That's when they started the real heavy-duty talks, which ended up, of course, in 1867, Foundation of Canada. So, hey, may cost a few bucks to have Charlie Boy over for the occasion, but hey, come on, it's our roots. A living tie into our past. So get used to it. So that's Charlie Boy landing today. I don't know whether to begin on the Cell stuff first or the good South Africa connection. I think we'll start with the South African connection. Floating around with YouTube for a while, Dinosaur News, brought to you by British People's League, etc. Is starting to make us some wide contacts, some valuable contacts. This boy spent a lot of time over the last year contacting and commenting on American white bulletin boards, etc. And I don't begrudge 1 minute of it. But now we're going to change pastures for a bit, due to the inspiration that a lady in the United Kingdom has given this boy. Her name is Claudia Bryan. You know how it is. You click around looking for friends that talk our language, British roots, white language. And I came in touch with this gal. She's well known in Boer circles, and Boers in exile, Boers who chose to leave in Britain for her work. She's inspirational. She goes to also patriotic British political events with those of patriotic hue, of course. She's a busy lady. Now, she has been emailing all kinds of good information, trying to stir people up as to the tragedy of the Boer situation, farmers being picked off one by one by the so-called government in South Africa. It's ironic because in 1978, as old-time viewers have heard me say many times, this boy was inspired, the British People's League inspired by the plight of Rhodesia. And then after tapes and everything were heard by some very high up, the last of the Anglo big shots in Canada, oh, there's still a few kicking around, but quite a few of them were the last, decided to do something about it under Canada's Constitution, administrator. So an attempted new administration was put in force that the book I'm still working on, all the details will come out. But it was the Rhodesian situation. Now here we are, full circle, all these years later, 2014, and now I'm being inspired again by Rhodesia's neighbor, South Africa. Because I say neighbors, it makes it sound like the good old days when there was apartheid and separation of the races, etc. And I'm not crying about the suffering of other races, etc. We're talking for our peoples, our white peoples, and today in particular, the Boers, and the suffering they went through. There's still some brave Boers hanging out, that's for sure. Hanging on, I should say. And there's a growth. Check out another web page I found called Farm Watch. Just click in Farm Watch. Keeping an eye on each other's properties in the outbacks of South Africa. And without going into all the details, without the Boer farmers, of course, there would be nothing in South Africa. There'd be starvation, as there is in Rhodesia, while Mugabe sits in his palace, his gold palace, and it's a gold palace, all right. You check it on Google. I don't even need to say check on Google anymore. It's automatic. Anything you want to pick out of any show on the internet, you just check on Google, take a few words, and the magic appears. Now, Claudia and I have discussed in emails, lengthy emails one day that many others joined in. It was almost like being on a forum. We've discussed the cell structures, having cells in place for defense when all else fails, and the genocide is going to be rampant in the open. Cells must be in place to protect our peoples. But there's several appendices to that statement. First off, legal cells. At this point in time, legal cells. You can't arm here in Canada. Where you can't arm, well, that's good news. You can't arm in Britain either. But to my amazement and thrill, Claudia totally agreed and said there are cell structures in place in South Africa. Legal, of course. Now, point two, speaking of legalities, I was a practicing paralegal for 20 years in Ontario, so I know a bit about the law. On international law, you can't plot the overthrow of another country. So even I got to watch what I say here. Little old guy sitting in the middle of nowhere in cottage country, Ontario, in the bush. We align ourselves with our patriot friends at Candor League in the motherland, of course, our mainstay. CANDOUR, candor.org.uk. And happy Victoria Day to our friends at Candor. As we've discussed with any group, friendship, association, not formal linkages, that's all they are, is discussions. We're not plotting the overthrow of any governments, etc. Cell structures are being built for the sole purpose of defense. Legal defense in whatever land our white peoples, those of British stock, those of Boer stock may dwell. Yes, in the great discussion page on Claudia's Facebook, oh yes, how to get to Claudia. Those wishing to ask her if she would accept your friendship or whatever, you click into my Facebook, personal Facebook. So you go into BritishPeoplesLeague.com, down on the right, there's a huge F for Facebook and the blue mark there. Just click on there. You get Beattie Boy's Facebook page. Very few friends, about 43 of them. I pick very carefully who we're going to have on display because, as you know, everybody checks into your friends. So go down the list of Beattie Boy's friends, and there you will see Claudia. I believe she was in the modeling business. So you'll certainly be able to spot her. Claudia. Okay. So in this running dialogue of back and forth communication on the Facebook pages, all kinds of people, South African Boers, clicking in and showering me with thank you for the recognition, etc. And I'm not worthy of it. I don't know enough about Boer history. I did know a guy that was in the right wing here, white cause. I don't know where he's disappeared to. His roots were Afrikaner, Boer, He was very proud of them. As a matter of fact, his grandfather acted as a security officer for General Smuts a way back, and he has photos, etc. But I don't know where he's taken off to. But anyway, I've had, you know, smatterings of history of the Boer people. It's truly ironic it should come to fore with the British People's League at this time. I don't know how to answer it. I think there's a new crop of enthusiasm to support the Boer people. The Young People's Demonstration in Britain a month or two ago, National Action Group in front of the South African Embassy protesting the genocide of the Boers. I reposted that on friends' linkages and so on, and that may have helped get recognition for the British People's League, that we too are friends of the Boer peoples. The enthusiasm is dynamite. It's the emails have been terrific. I suppose it's because of desperation too. I mean, you know, they're being slaughtered as a group. Genocide against whites, and no one else seems to give a damn. No official governments, etc. And the international cabal, the global cabal. It's we the people. We're the ones that have to care. And we have to show support for the Boer people. Well, we're hardly getting any donations at the time, so it wouldn't be in the way of financial, but we can do our blessings and do these shows. And we intend to promote the Boers as much as we do Candor League from now on. Now, getting to that cell structure, I suggest looking up, and again, it's ironic, isn't it? It's like reading the Bible. You pick out your cherry quotes. So Wikipedia, I can't stand it. 9 out of 10 times they lied about me, just full of BS. But sometimes there's not much choice in there, and use the good, okay? So I'm cherry picking Wikipedia. But if you click in British resistance and go to Wikipedia about the cell structure that Sir Winston Churchill had set up, auxiliary units, or cells, as I like to call them, the British People's League likes to call them, were specially trained, highly secretive units created by the United Kingdom government during the Second World War with the aim of resisting any eventual occupation of the United Kingdom by Nazi Germany after a planned invasion, which the Germans codenamed Operation Sea Lion. So, you know, for my German friends out there, not knocking German people who had no choice in what happened in the Second World War, but I would point out there was a setup called Operation Sea Lion, and without Operation Sea Lion, maybe there wouldn't have needed to be cell structures preparing for an invasion. I'm not going to rediscuss the Second World War all over again. As everyone knows, people suffered on both sides. And we have friends. Said to somebody the other day, the more I promote my British blood, my British peoples, the more German friends I get. Just pure fluke, but here in the village area, a lot of German descendant peoples are very friendly and assist me in day-to-day ways. I don't drive, I've told you for reasons why, etc. And I've got a lot of German Canadians are friendly as can be. So it's awkward having to get in that period of history. Anyway, having the advantage of seeing the fall of several continental nations, the United Kingdom was the only country during the war that was able to create such a resistance movement in advance of any invasion. Winston Churchill, Prime Minister from 10th of May 1940, initiated the units, sometimes referred to as part of the British resistance operation, in the early summer of 1940. He appointed Colonel Colin Gubbins to found them. The auxiliary units, which I call cells, which our South African friend residing in Britain calls cells, Claudia, the auxiliary units answer to General Headquarters Home Forces, but were organized as if part of the local Home Guard. My long ago deceased father-in-law from Horsham, Sussex, was very proud of his Home Guard activities, and he showed me the old tank traps when I was over there, etc. Gubbins, a regular British Army soldier, had acquired considerable experience and expertise in guerrilla warfare during the Allied intervention in the Russian Civil War in 1919 and in the Anglo-Irish War of 1919-1921. Most recently, he had returned from Norway, where he headed the independent companies, the predecessors of the British Commandos. In November 1940, Gubbins would move to Special Operations Executive SOE. Now, as time allows, I may have to cut this short, so as I'm reading out from Auxiliary Units, British Resistance on Google. Gubbins used several officers who had served with the independent companies in Norway, plus others he had known there. Units were localized on a county structure in the motherland, of course, as they would probably be fragmented and isolated from each other. Priority was given to the counties most at risk from enemy invasion, the two most vulnerable being Kent and Sussex in southeast England. And as my passed away wife was from Horsham, Sussex. The two best known officers from this period were Captain Peter Fleming of the Grenadier Guards and Captain Mike Calvert of the Royal Engineers. Fleming came from a famous banking family and was the elder brother of Ian Fleming. Oh, did I say the word banking? Oh, we're not allowed to use the word banking in the White Right, are we? Sorry about that. As I said the other day, check out the Canadian Bank Institutes. Canadian banks are all run by fine, honest Anglo-Celtic, Anglo-Saxons. It's all there. I rechecked again to make sure. Calvert had recently served in the 5th Battalion Scots Guards, which had been formed to fight as a ski troop in Finland. Oh, by the way, just hit me. Beattie's probably been bought off by the banks. Yeah, well, tell that to me while I'm sitting here cool as hell because I can't afford to put the oil on. Anyway, both of these men were too valuable to stay long once the immediate threat of invasion was over, and both later served in Burma, Fleming in deception work, Calvert in the Chindits. The combat units were the operational patrols, and again, Claudia and I use the word cells to cover all of these matters. But they were supported by Special Duty Section, and again, ours is legal. We're not being invaded at this point, but there is genocide and slaughter of the Boer peoples. Let's go back to the spotters for the action teams. Yeah, spotters. That's what we can do. And speaking of spotters, with that dialogue I was talking about a few minutes ago with Claudia, in comes a Mr. Abbey, A-B-E, very liberal gentleman, on and on, whining the usual liberal crap. And if you ask me, he was definitely an agent for the African National Congress. He was too smooth. He had the left-wing liberal arguments to a T. Oh, we want to love all you people. We want to love everyone. Yours truly, I got my dig in there. Look, pal, we look after our own peoples. You look after your own peoples. Charity begins at home. The fact that I've been greeted so warmly in the Boer exile community, it's exciting, but it's upsetting also, because it shows that, you know, things are sparse and they can use friends wherever they can get them. So you become a friend of the Boer peoples as well, won't you? I guess I'm speaking of my blind list people, our blind list people. Nothing's my. The people on the blind list are there just because I send them stuff. There's no agreement or anything. They're just friends. See how careful I'm being? Aren't I being so very careful? Okay, so we only have about a minute to go. Each patrol was a self-contained cell. Each patrol was a self-contained cell. Expect to be self-sufficient and operational autonomous in the case of invasion, generally operating within a 15-mile radius. So I got lots to talk about coming up. I'll do my best to get five shows in this week. Again, happy Victoria Day. Thanks for clicking in. Keep on trucking. God save the Queen.